All right, separate legal entity provided by the 16 section 16 of the Companies Act, and basically it says that the company and its assets are separate from the owners of the company. So this doctrine was formulated in 1896, 1897 actually, in the case of Salmon versus Salmon. So basically, some facts of the case was that when you incorporate the company, it gives you a separate legal entity. So in the case of Salmon, you see that Salmon was in the boot making business, so they're making shoes, and initially he ran the company as a proprietorship. All right. So when he saw the company go bigger, he said that I will incorporate members of the family. So then basically created shares to the company and then to the company. So he issued shares to his family members. All right. Then years down the line, you would see that what happened was that the company failed and it went into liquidation. So Salmon's right of recovery basically uh, they stated that you cannot sort of record nothing from a liquidation process, basically because of the fact that uh, Salmon is the principal. He cannot be liable for the debt. In other words, when the company goes into liquidation, they appoint a liquidator, and liquidator will get a creditors list and try to offset the company's sort of creditors. But because of the fact that they were trying to, because of the fact that they said, okay, since the company is going to liquidation, Salmon will be personally liable for some of the debts because of the fact that the owner of the company, and the court said no, you cannot hold Salmon liable because Salmon is separate from the company. The company is a separate legal entity, and basically it can carry on businesses on its own name and all property on its own name. So if the company incurs liability, that liability does not transfer to the shareholders. That liability, there's a what you call an imaginary abstract corporate veil that protects the owners and separates the owners from the company itself. As a result, Salmon in that case is not liable, and the company is liable for its shares. All right, the explanation of the case is that yes, at times companies separate and directors or owners are separate, but in the case where you see that there's fraud involved, the courts can pierce the corporate veil and they can hold the owner of the company liable. So in law, you will see that the court may look through the veil or pierce the corporate veil, and the lifting of corporate veil, it can be done in cases where there's allegation of fraud. So it's a case of Odata versus Ambusa Copra Mill Limited. Justice Kanakasi considered the issue of lifting the corporate veil between a parent company and a subsidiary. In that case, it was held that the corporate veil must be lifted because of the fact that there is, at this point in time, certain factors that existed. So there's been some fraudulent activities by the owner of the company. As a result, the courts must be seen to pierce open the corporate veil. So, all in all, if the company goes into liquidation or goes bankrupt, the assets of the company will be used to sort out its creditors. However, and the assets of the owners cannot be touched. However, in the event that we have found that there's an allegation of fraud, the courts can pierce the corporate veil and hold the owners liable. All right. So just by looking at your first slides there, we talked about what is a corporation. We talked about the types of companies in PNG. We talked about different sole traders, joint ventures, trusts, and then we talked about incorporating a company and the company's separate legal entity. So when you're making a decision to start a business with a group of friends or with a group of business partners or on your own, you must go through what's the most advantageous business structure in terms of the types of company that you want for your company, and also go through the requirements of registering a company in Papua New Guinea, especially with the IPA regulations and stuff like that in keeping uh, the register important documents of the company and keeping them sort of in order when you want to register a company or advice, seeking legal advice, because lawyers will give a guidance as to how to incorporate that company. Well, thank you very much. We'll now move on to your second set of lectures for corporations and financial markets.